Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, plus my reaction to Erik ten Hag's press conference, which I think is actually massively insightful. It reminded me of a Rangnick press conference, if I'm being honest, because the truth was given in a way where you need to read it deeper, which we'll talk about in the show. Also, I'm very biased, but the United Stand did get to ask a question in the press conference, and me and Adam had been discussing this last night and the possibilities, and if we did get to ask one, what question should be asked, and he asked it perfectly. The question we wanted to ask was, is this good preparation, being on tour 2 weeks out from the start of the Premier League when you haven't got your signings in and everybody else has? And he gave an honest answer and said, this is not good preparation, but it's an opportunity to work with what I've got. And I think he was also honest about needing signings as well. So lots to get through, a very insightful press conference where basically the summary is Erik ten Hag said, this isn't the best preparation he could have had for the start of the season, and he needs signings, otherwise he's going to struggle. And that's basically the summary of what was said in there. We've also got talk of Antony talks. Apparently Antony representatives have been in Manchester yesterday. I'm trying to dig down to find out if that is true, but I've got no reason to think it's not true. It's massive if true. We'll talk about that. We'll go through the entirety of what he was said in the press conference and the latest news as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Let me just have a little look. Let's get rid of Sandish. Bye-bye, Sandish. You're on the wrong channel, mate. And make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Also, I've just whacked into it's the top. It's on the homepage anyway, but it's pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to watch the actual press conference of Erik ten Hag, because we were there filming it, we've put it up on the channel, so you can watch that back as well. But look, we're going to fly straight into this, and then we'll get into Erik's press conference reaction. But this is sort of hot off the press, and it's from two different journalists as well, both of which I think are on the tour. I think Chris Wheeler definitely is anyway, of the Daily Mirror. He's definitely out there in Australia. One of Antony's representatives, Junior Pedroso, was in Manchester for talks on Thursday. And then Paul Hurst of The Times says, one of representatives of Antony, the Ajax winger, is understood to be in Manchester this week. The Dutch club are demanding 68 million for the Brazilian. So, look, that is a positive, and it is coming in from two separate journalists. So I think that, and I'm actually quite surprised on this one, but I'm not really. It's the way the world works, isn't it? We've always been well informed on the Antony situation, and I had no idea about this. So, but I do take it as probably true because it's coming in from two separate journalists. What we do know is that there has been talks with Manchester United, Ajax, and Antony for probably a considerable amount of time. The issue is that Ajax are very adamant about what they want, and it probably is about £68 million. Manchester United don't want to pay that, of course they don't. But I think that there is a deal that can be done here, and I think there's two aspects to this deal. I think £68 million can be achieved with add-ons. I don't think we need to pay £68 million outright. So first of all, I'd say £68 million with add-ons is probably achievable, which would mean a fee of around sort of 58, 55 million, which, you know, may not be out of the question for an attacker who's doing very well and is Brazilian and has done well for Ajax. So maybe we do a deal about 55 million with add-ons that take it up to 68, maybe 58 million with add-ons, to be fair. You also throw in Ethan Laird and you basically bring that deal down to 58 million with add-ons. So you spend about 48. You give him Ethan Laird as well, and you include add-ons, and you've reduced that down from 68 to 48 as an initial outlay. So I think that this deal can be done, and I think the big question is, well, if the issue is Ajax, which it is, and the price, why would Antony's representatives be in Manchester? Well, what that basically means, if you're not aware of how transfer works, are if an agent of a player is coming over. Look, if an agent of, I don't know, Koundé is in Barcelona today, and Barcelona haven't agreed a fee with Sevilla yet, that's sort of irrelevant, because that means Barcelona is sorting out Koundé to go to Barcelona, and that fee will get sorted out in due course. I think if this is true, and if we have got the agent in Manchester sorting out the terms of the deal, it's very promising that a deal will occur. Obviously, I would quantify that by saying this is Manchester United, and we know what United can do with a deal. But it does sound very positive. Let's watch this space with that one. Hi Mark, just got my Ten Hag t-shirt and hoodie delivered. Pure quality, mate. Love them. Let's get Antony over the nine, says Richard. Thank you, Richard. Remember, you can get your merch delivered worldwide. Wong, welcome to the Members Club. Morning, Mark. You think if we got Poch, he would have been more backed than Ten Hag, says Mikael Roach. Mate, I've got no interest in what would have happened with Pochettino. I wanted Ten Hag. I'd be more, the only hypothetical scenario we'll never know the answer to that I'd like to know would have been how this summer transfer window would have gone if we'd kept Rangnick. I think that would be an interesting thing to know. I'm not really interested in what would have happened with Pochettino. Maybe they would have backed him quicker. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. But look, keep your eye on Antony. I've just had a message come through, actually. I'm always a bit wary when I get those, when I'm live. Okay, that's good. It's somebody just telling me we hit 1.3 million on Twitter, which is always nice, isn't it? But it's not transfer news. So yeah, keep your eye on the Antony story. I'd still say 50-50. I have been 80% in the past, but I'd still say 50-50. So Antony representatives in Manchester, according to 2 outlets yesterday, discussing a move to Manchester United. Let's see how that develops, because it feeds lovely into what Erik Ten Hag said. And look, I really want Erik Ten Hag to do well. I think everybody wants Erik Ten Hag to do well. But I also have said that this pre-season hype needs popping a bit, because we are not going to have a successful season just because Martial, Rashford and Sancho are doing well in pre-season. It's not enough. Like, what happens when Rashford gets injured, or Sancho gets injured, or Martial drops out of form? We've got no backup. But some of our fans just seem to be flying away in the hot air balloon of positivity, and they don't realise that balloon's going to pop, and then they're going to come falling back down to earth into reality, that we are way too short up front. But some people don't want to listen, because we just beaten Palace in a pre-season with half their team. Like, and there's not much I or you can do to make that happen, because realistically people are going to have their own opinions and think they're right. So it's fantastic when the manager of Manchester United basically comes out and says we haven't got the squad depth, and he has come out and done that. He was asked about it, and he basically said that with regards to additions, we need more options. He said, look, Eriksen's coming in for the midfield, and we're happy with how the midfield's performed so far, but we need more options. A good squad is better than a good team, but we need the right players, and we are looking. And again, he mentioned the World Cup. Again, he mentioned that, the number of games, we need more options, and it's vital if you want success, because that second half of the season will bite us in the backside effectively. Adam says, hi Mark, why don't we give Ajax either Palestri, Chong plus Laird, 20-30 million for Antony? Well, look, Ajax aren't stupid, Adam. They are actually a very good, welcome to Members Club, Oggy. They are a very well-run club. They're not completely stupid. They're not just going to take all our crap to reduce the Antony fee. What do you want to say about reports that Dion considers move to Chelsea more than Man United, says Vikas? Well, mate, I don't know where that report's coming from, so if you know me, I'll value the reports based on where it's coming from, and I don't know where that's coming from. So it could be coming from your arse. I don't know. So I don't really have much of an opinion on it. Can I just say what a fantastic job you do, and also Adam on tour. You say you don't represent fans, but you vocalise the truth, which we all appreciate, says Anil. Well, look, I want to go through the press conference of Erik Ten Hag, because I love going through the press conferences anyway, and it diverts you onto different stories where we can interact. So we're going to do that now anyway. Welcome to the Members Club, James. But look, I am particularly biased, but there was one question I wanted Erik Ten Hag to get asked on this entire tour, and we discussed it. And it's not just Adam on tour, Ryan's on tour as well. They've done a fantastic job. And we were discussing this all week about how this question just doesn't get asked, and it needs to be asked. And so basically what Adam said to Erik Ten Hag in the press conference earlier this morning, welcome to the Members Club, James, was this. He said to him, effectively, is it ideal to be on tour without any of your signings when teams like Spurs, Man City and Liverpool have got all of their signings and they're training now? And his reply was this: it's definitely an advantage to those teams. I have to develop what we have, but I have got Lisandro Martinez and Eriksen when I return. So the most important thing for me in that question was, are you at a disadvantage because you haven't got the players in that you wanted? And the answer from Erik Ten Hag was yes. And that's all I wanted from that question. And I appreciate Erik Ten Hag's honesty, because I guarantee you, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we wouldn't have got that. He would have said, well, you know, the board have backed me, and very happy with the team that I've got. And Erik Ten Hag didn't do that. And he didn't do it in a way that was derogatory to the Glazers or throwing Murta or anybody under the bus. He didn't say why he hasn't got his players in, but he absolutely gave a glimpse. And I thought the question was phrased perfectly, and I thought the answer was fantastic as well, because honesty will set you free. Man United need to communicate better with their fans. Whatever you think about Rangnick did communicate, and we didn't do well on the pitch, but he earns a lot of respect because he communicated with the fans, which is something the club hasn't done in years. And I feel that Ten Hag communicated with the fans there, and the question was brilliant, and more of those questions need to be asked, more direct, you know, not an open-ended question where he just goes yes or no, and a proper answer. And effectively that question was saying, are we prepared for the start of this season, as well as a Spurs, a Liverpool and a Man City who have got their signings in? And Ten Hag quite clearly said no. We are at a disadvantage because we haven't trained with the players that I wanted into the club. And that's all I wanted. I mean, it's a headline, but it's not like, oh, sack Murta. All I wanted, and I think what we've delivered there, is the answer from our manager that we're not as prepared as Liverpool, Man City and Spurs because we haven't got our signings in. And when that comes from the manager, it means we don't have to sit here as fans on the United Stand or any other platform going, I don't think he's prepared. I don't think we've got enough. And then you get the positive people going, oh, you don't know that. Maybe this is the squad. Maybe he wants to play McFred. Look, he's come out and said quite clearly in that press conference he wants more signings, and he's come out and said quite clearly that it is a disadvantage to be on a pre-season tour without the players that he wanted to bring in. And, you know, is that his fault? No. Whose fault is it? Well, it's the same people it always is. It always comes back to a clear incompetence in recruitment, and it's been happening every year for about 15 years. It used to happen with Sir Alex. You know, he used to have to come out and say there's no value in the market. And effectively, it's very similar to what Erik Ten Hag is saying. We've got to get the right players. Any possibility that Antony Reps could also be visiting Man City and or Liverpool, says Jack? Well, I mean, there's always that possibility, but I don't think that was the indication. Anita, thank you very much for the super chat. Any news on a CDM, Mark? Could De Jong play as CDM? Also, have there been any progress with Sangari? Well, we're not in for Sangari at all, so I wouldn't... That's just a fan theory, I'm afraid. Maybe he'll go to another Premier League club, but he's not going to come to Manchester United. And I think in relation to De Jong, he will be playing in the midfield too. We're not actually going to play with a CDM. If you watch Manchester United tomorrow against Villa, or you watched us against Palace, or against Melbourne Victory, or against Liverpool, we didn't play with a CDM because we're not going to play with a CDM. I don't know why people think we are playing with a CDM. We're playing with a midfield too. We're not playing with one. So De Jong would play in one of those positions, and maybe Fred would play there as well. So there we go. Mark, can someone send a super chat for Mark to do a Karaki? Karaki, can you believe that question they've just asked Ten Hag about the midfieldy? Like, he just said he wants more midfielders. The Glazers won't be happy about that, Karaki. Why, hey man, we're out of a job, man. What, they must be happy. Rubbish. Gabrielle, welcome to the members club. Right, let's go through this then. So I'm just going to blitz through this because, there's a lot of good points in here. So he was asked, I think it was Simon Stone asked him, what does he think of the progress so far in relation to pre-season? And Ten Hag said, it's difficult, but I have to construct a team for the season. We need results, and the start of the season is the platform for that. And I think that was a really interesting indication from Erik Ten Hag that he's setting this team up to get points early on. He knows he needs a good start. And I'm just wondering whether he's just really gone intense on training. I said this in the preview for the Villa game. I think we'll win because I think we're fitter. I'm wondering if he's just focused massively on ball work and training and fitness to try and hit some of these teams early on in the season to get us some points, to get us some momentum. So he's obviously very focused on that. He was asked about the additions. Obviously, he said we've got Eriksen for the midfield. He said he's quite happy with the progress of the midfield and the defence, but we need more options. As I say, a good squad's more important than a good team, but we need the right players, and we are looking. He was also asked about the young players. He said, look, there's not been a lot of time for the young players. He said he described it as a divided squad in relation to generations. You've got experienced players and young players, and not all young players have had the time that they deserve. But he also made a great point. He said, look, whilst they might not have had game time, they have trained in front of me, and I've seen them training, and I know what their qualities are. We've got priorities in this team at the moment, and like I say, he's building clearly to get points at the start of the season. So when offered a chance of playing Garnacho and Mabry a little bit more, or developing the Martial, Rashford and Sancho front three, he's obviously right to develop the Martial, Rashford and Sancho front three, because that's the front three that's going to get him points early on in the season. Drub says, if we do not get De Jong and Antony, we can't get top four. What are your thoughts, Mark? No, I don't think we will get top four, no. Morning, not if we don't get those players. Morning, Mark. Are we linked with a new centre-half in Pavard when we have 7 in the squad? I've not spoken about it, Paul, because I just don't think it's true. Welcome to Members Club, Jack. There has been a story about Pavard. I can't see us going for Pavard. And also, I think if we did go for Pavard, he'd probably play it right back, wouldn't he? So there we go. I have to bring this in. I really don't want to, but he was asked 2 questions about this. 2 questions about this. You know what it's going to be. Maguire being booed. 2 separate journalists asked him a question about Maguire being booed. Never tell me the English media isn't biased towards English players and doesn't really care about foreign players. Because I tell you what, Martial back in January, Pogba back in April, booed at Old Trafford, barely a mention in a press conference. Harry Maguire booed for England, 3 questions for Ranić. Harry Maguire booed in Australia in a pre-season game, 2 questions. It's boring. It's absolutely boring. And the obsession with English players, it's like, he's English, you can't boo him. Even if he's rubbish, you can't boo him. Yeah, boo the French lads, boo the Portuguese lads. You know, do loads of clips on De Gea not being any good, even though he is. But not the English players. We can't have anything like that. I just can't believe there was 2 questions. I can't believe there was even 1 question about it. But the answer from Erik ten Hag on both of them was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because you know what he said in response to being asked about Maguire being booed? This is what he said. If you perform, it stops. Mic drop. Goodbye. Exactly. This guy knows it. He may not be any Man United fan. He may not have a link to Manchester United, but he knows his football and he knows about building teams. And he's absolutely correct. Why is he being asked questions about a player being booed by fans? Like, what are they trying to get a headline of? What do they want? Ten Hag to come out like Ollie did? Remember when Ollie came out and said they're not real fans? The social media fans, they're not real fans or something like that. I mean, what a stupid comment that was from Solskjaer. And well done for Ten Hag for not falling into the trap of slagging off your fans. You know, whether you agree with booing, which I don't, you can't be slagging off your fans when you've barely even started your job. And he's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So we got 2 questions about Maguire being booed, and in both of them, he basically said that only he can change it. He's got to focus on performing. If you perform, it slows down. So fantastic from Erik ten Hag, not feeding this nonsense that is just totally focused on English players. Jack, welcome to the Members Club. Wackass, welcome as well. He was asked about, I mean, look, I read this quote and I actually thought, oh my God, he's shouting out Fred. Like, no, there's nothing wrong with shouting out Fred, but I was like, wow, you know, he was asked a direct question about Fred. And I think, you know, I've listened to so many press conferences over the years, and you see a quote on Twitter and you think, oh, he's speaking about Fred. Obviously, Fred's at the forefront of his mind. He's singled out Fred. He was asked a question about Fred. That question could have been about Delo. It could have been about McTominay. It could have been about Sancho. It could have been about Malacia. He was asked a direct question about Fred. He's never going to say, you know what, I think Fred's first touch is like a bouncy castle. He's coming up for 30 in the next couple of years. He's got no future at the club, so I'll use him because I've got nobody else. I mean, he's not going to say that, is he? He was very complimentary about Fred. He said Fred's a connector. He's playing well at the moment. He can definitely improve, and he brings energy to the team. So he was obviously complimentary of Fred, but it was a direct question asked about Fred. There was no direct question asked about De Gea or Delo. So context is that he's happy with Fred, but it wasn't an impromptu I love Fred and he got a Fred t-shirt out. He obviously does like Fred, but it was a direct question. Let's have a look. What would you, your own family members or people who aren't part of your family, would you support a friend over a family member? What's that? I don't know what that means. Would you support a friend over a family member, says Mango. This is the United stand, mate. It's not This Is Your Life or a call in on a, you know, whatever that's all about. I can't. We're talking about Manchester United. Why is the club and De Jong letting these stories out about how he hates the club and the city, etc., for a club that only cares about brand and image? Says Aram. And hi Mark, I don't understand Ajax. They'll sell Haller for 35, Gravenberch for 20, yet ask United for 60 and 80 for Timber and Antony. Why sell your top scorer and a young gem for pennies? Says Alex. Look, we've tried to do deals with Ajax quite late, so I wouldn't worry about that. Nemo, I'm not getting into comments about stuff like that. It wasn't just to do with that at all. Solskjaer spoke derogatory about online fans quite a few times, actually. Go and find the quotes. Let's have a look at what else was said. He was asked a good question, actually. From the first 3 games, if I offered you 7 points, would you take it? And he said, I'm just focused on the first game, which is something that you want your manager to be. Because, again, you can fall into traps, can't you? Oh, yeah, I'll take 7 points now. Well, I'd take 7 points now. That would mean beating Brighton and Brentford and drawing with Liverpool. That would be a fantastic start for our season. Of course I would take 7 points. But Ten Hag is obsessive and he'll focus game by game, which is absolutely fine. He was asked about the front 3, about Sancho, Rashford and Martial, and whether that's the front 3 for the first game of the season. He said, look, it can be. They've got a good connection, which is great. They play well together and they can develop even further. So, look, well, I think they probably will start. I have a suspicion that Ronaldo didn't travel to Australia on the basis that he could be unvaccinated, staying back to avoid media fiasco if he was, says Rosh. Thank you very much, pal. And he was asked about the commercial... there are some better questions, but I'm just going through in order here. He was asked about the tour and the commercial side of football and whether that's ideal. He said, look, it's part of football. You get the best out of it. The positives are the team spirit, being together a lot. But obviously, you know, I think Ten Hag would rather not be doing all this commercial stuff. I think he'd rather be doing football preparation. Welcome to the Members Club, Schumacher. Thank you very much. Quality jumper, Mark, says James. Thank you very much. I liked this. I mean, it's a very... It might not resonate with you lot, but he was asked about the way he wants to play football, and he says, look, we want to play attacking, entertaining football, but the problem is the opposition don't cooperate, which the way he phrased it was quite funny. And he said, look, tomorrow is a really big test against Aston Villa, so I'm looking forward to that. On the Ronaldo situation, he said the situation is the same. Nothing's changed from every time that you've asked me about Ronaldo, but I'm looking forward to... can't wait. In fact, he actually said, I can't wait for him to come back and integrate into the team. So, look, nothing has changed from a Ten Hag side. That means he's not for sale. That means he's still expecting him back, planning to have him back, and excited to have him back. We can all have our opinions on the Ronaldo situation. And actually, there's a bit of a story coming out this morning that George Mendes will work every way he can to make a move to Atletico Madrid viable. You know, there's talk of pay cuts. There's all sorts of conversation, and basically, apparently, Mendes is saying if this is an economical barrier, he'll find a way through it. A lot of people are now saying it'll be Atletico Madrid or Manchester United. I mean, I'd hate to see Ronaldo at Atletico Madrid. I really don't like Atletico Madrid that much, to be honest. It's not a dislike. I just find Simeone's football crap, and yeah, I could see Ronaldo being quite frustrated at Atletico Madrid as well. I don't think they create loads and loads of chances, so I would hope it doesn't happen. I think Ten Hag doesn't want it to happen. We'll have to wait and see. Surely the point about Maguire is the size of the investment versus the return, not where he is from, says Paul. Please can you wish Billy a happy birthday, says B. Happy birthday to Billy. Thank you very much for that. And also, Jack Hammer says, want to congratulate Ryan and Adam on a very impressive and professional tour. It's been amazing. It has. And considering we weren't necessarily thinking about going on the tour, and we sorted everything out in the space of about 2 weeks, I'm very impressed with what we've been able to achieve. So, yeah, fantastic. Thanks for all your support on that. It's been really, really good. And obviously, it finishes with the Perth game tomorrow morning, which we're doing a watch-along for, which I'm really looking forward to. He was asked a question about his options in attack, and he said, look, the number of games, we need more options. It's vital if you want success. And I think that Ten Hag is a man of few words. Mango says, I agree, Mark. Would you yell at your own family member if they weren't performing? Would you treat a friend performing bad the same as a family member? Well, I would. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people work with family members. If you want to treat them differently because they're a family member, you don't work with family members, you know. If you want to be the best and you want to beat the rest, then, you know, you've got to treat everybody the same, haven't you? You can't have favourites. Favouritism in any walk of life can be a real barrier to success, I'm afraid. So there we go. But look, he's a man of few words, Erik ten Hag, but you sort of have to home in on what he says. And I think he gave us everything that we wanted today. I've been very worried about the front three. I think they're very exciting, Rashford, Martial and Sancho. But you've got to worry about consistency. Rashford's been bad for a year and a half. Martial's been bad for 2 years. So are they suddenly going to flick a switch? Well, they could do, because we've got a new manager that's obsessive. But even if you assume that Martial, Rashford and Sancho are going to be on fire, they can't be on fire twice a week for 60 games in a season. It's just impossible. They can't, all three of them, avoid injury either. We have got no depth, and I'm very grateful that Erik ten Hag came out and exposed that weakness, because if I say it or you say it, there'll be some fans saying they're full of crap, they're just being negative. When the manager comes out and says it, well, it's not negative, is it? I mean, what are these people who come out and say, oh, you're always so bloody negative, stop moaning? Well, is the manager moaning? Are you going to call Ten Hag a moaner now? Because he's basically come out and said what many of us have been saying. What's the difference between Erik ten Hag coming out and saying, we don't have enough numbers in the attack, we need more options, there's too many games for what we've got, and it's vital if we want to be successful? So when I or you sit there and go, well, we're going to struggle because we haven't got enough attackers, that's negative. But when the manager comes out and says it, they'll all sit down. Because what they don't realise is, and we're back to the traffic light system again, if you're always on green, you're going to look really stupid. Because if you're always positive about everything, not everything in life is positive. And if you're always on red and you're always negative, you're going to look really miserable, because not everything in life is always negative. You need the amber button, where sometimes you're stuck in between thinking about things. You're not going either way. Well, Ten Hag's positive about a lot of things, but he's on red in relation to his options up front because he's worried. This balance is really important. You can't be positive about everything. The manager's not even positive about everything. He knows that squad hasn't got enough. He even said it earlier on in the interview. A good squad is more important than a good team. He needs a good squad, and at the moment he hasn't got it. It's about getting the right players, of course it is, but we are going to... I mean, look, his words are there. It's vital we've got a good squad if we want to be successful. We need more options. There's too many games. This is from the manager. It's not from me. It's not from Nick. It's not from Sharon or anybody else in the chat. This is from your manager. So sit down, take it on board, compute it, and realise that is very, very important, because it's coming in from your manager. And I'm glad that he's saying these things, because I get tired of having to say it and then people go, oh, you're just moaning and being negative. No, it's actually called analysing your football club, noticing the weaknesses and publicising them. And thank God our manager has come out and publicised them as well. Ronaldo wants to challenge for titles. Atletico Madrid are not going to win the league or the Champions League. It's pointless. That's a bad move in my opinion, says Nick. Arnold said we have the funds and next summer is going to be challenging. If this summer with the funds is like this, how will the next one be? I mean, that's a good point, Shim, actually. Mark, what would you be your ideal transfer window? And can you call my mate Luke Howard at Pratt? I mean, from this point, my ideal transfer window would be keeping Ronaldo, signing De Jong and getting Antony in addition to what we've got. That would be a good start, and selling a few players. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. And in addition to that, obviously he was asked, is it difficult? This is the question Adam asked again. Is it difficult? It wasn't actually that. Let me just read the question, because I WhatsApped it to Adam last night, so I know what the question is. Where is it? Okay. So, question for Presser. One new signing training with you so far. Does it make your job harder not having the signings you wanted part of the pre-season planning, especially when you see City, Spurs, etc. training with their new players? So that was the question. Does it make your job harder not having the signings you wanted part of the pre-season planning when teams like Spurs and City and Liverpool do have their players there? And his answer was, it's definitely an advantage to those clubs to have those players to develop, but I have to develop with what I have. There'll be more options for me when we return. So again, it's not negative. That's your manager saying that our preparation's not as good as those teams that have got their business done. Well, whose fault is it that the business hasn't been done? I mean, some would say it's Ten Hag for not having an alternative to De Jong. Other people would say it's because we haven't actually backed the manager to the point that he needs so far. So we'll see on that. There was a question about James Garner, which I found a bit odd, considering it's very obvious that James Garner's been injured. I can't remember the phrasing of the question, but it was something about Garner, and Ten Hag was quite quick to just say, well, I've only really seen him train this week. I haven't seen anything of him because he's been injured. I've only seen him train this week, and once I've seen enough of him, I can make an assessment on him. So that's good in relation to Garner because, and again, another very honest answer from Erik Ten Hag. I've said it on a few shows, I've said it on the watch-alongs, certainly it's been really disappointing for James Garner because you look at what Charlie Savage has done and you look at what Iqbal has done, and I think if James Garner had been fit, and he's not an injury-prone player, I think he was fit for most of last season when he was on loan at Forest. If he'd have been fit, he would have played more games, and then if he'd done well, he may well have been jumping ahead of a McTominay or a Fred, you never know. But Ten Hag being very honest and saying, well, look, he's been injured. How can I assess a player that's been injured? He's back in training now. He's got a bit of time for me to assess him, and then I'll make a decision. And that decision's going to be, is he good enough to go straight into the first team, which is a hard thing to do? Is he good enough to just be a bench player, which is probably not right for him? Or is it another loan for a Premier League club, which is probably most likely? And the injuries come at a bad time. If we don't get Frankie de Jong, what do you think our expected position in the Premier League will be, says Jared? Well, I was asked this question last night. And don't forget, 8 o'clock tonight, it's Friday night. So it's kick back, relax, Q&A show tonight, which I'm looking forward to. Plus, we've got a bit of interesting story. I nearly spoke about it on the transfer show this morning. I'm going to sort of probably headline it for 2 o'clock, unless we get something else in. Just digging a little bit. It was a story from yesterday that's an interesting story that actually probably has some truth to it, which is a bit sensationalist, but I'm talking to a couple of people this morning, so watch out for that at 2 o'clock. But 8 o'clock tonight will be more of a kickback Q&A. But in relation to where we're going to finish next season, I never want to swerve a question because I think that's what this sort of content shouldn't be. There's plenty of swerving the question in the mainstream media, and we're fully aware of that. I just find it very difficult to predict where United are going to finish anyway, but I find it very difficult to predict where United are going to finish now. I mean, I could put a poll up, and I may as well do it. Barca and United were in similar position. We're not anymore, says Ock. And if we don't get Frankie de Jong, we've done that one from Jared. So look, I think it's a worthwhile poll. Where will United finish? And I'm just going to whack it in. And you can all vote while... Well, you can't vote while I'm typing. But so let's say top 4. 5th. 6th. I mean, I'd be very surprised if we finish lower, but I'll put it as an option there. So you've got 4 choices there in the chat, live chat. Top 4, 5th, 6th, or lower than that. So get your votes in on that. If you give me Antony, Ronaldo and De Jong, I would be brave enough to say top 4. You shouldn't have that on. I've told you so many times not to wear that. It's got my white bloody Last Dance jumper on. So I think that if we did get De Jong, Ronaldo and Antony, I would be brave enough to say I think we'll get top 4. But even then, I don't think it's easy. I mean, even with De Jong, I mean, this is the size of the task that Ten Hag has. I mean, from where we are now, if you add De Jong, Antony, and Ronaldo to that team, it's way better. But I still don't think it's nailed on that you get top 4. I mean, is it right to say that Ronaldo, De Jong, and Antony added to that squad makes us favourites for top 4? No, it's not. Spurs have got Conte and a very good squad. Chelsea have got Tuchel, Liverpool, Man City. We need Ronaldo, De Jong and Antony as a minimum to have a chance of top 4, not to get top 4. If we don't get De Jong and we don't get Antony and Ronaldo doesn't stay, I can't see us getting top 4. I can't. If we get Antony and we don't get De Jong and Ronaldo, I can't see us getting top 4. If Ronaldo goes and we get Antony and De Jong, I still think we'll struggle to get top 4, to be honest. So I think for me to be confident that we've got a chance of top 4, I think we need to keep Ronaldo, get De Jong and get Antony. And that's a big, big if, isn't it? It really is a big if at the moment. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, got a cracking show coming up for you at 2 o'clock. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little scared, says Dominic. I'm looking forward to it. Now, it's interesting. Bit of positivity in the chat. 43% are going with top 4. That's our biggest thing. So well done for your positivity. 5th is 34%. 6th is 16%. And lower than 6th is 7%, thank God. But the vast majority, well, not the vast majority, but 43% of you, nearly half of you, think we'll get top 4. So I'll have a pint of that. At this point, with this squad, not a chance. If we get the signings in, then yeah, we have. I've spoken about Pavard a few times. I mean, look, Pavard, Dybala, Memphis, that bloody Klose that we were after, Vardial, you know, I could go on and on and on. That left back that we were going to get from Bundesliga, I can't remember what his name was. I just filed them in the shit drawer. Like, it's just we will get linked to players that we're not going to sign. And I don't think we're going to sign Pavard. So I don't really want to talk about Pavard. Until I get it from somebody credible, I'm not interested in it. And yeah, so I don't think we're in on that. What I'm excited about this morning, if I'm absolutely honest with you, and I think most of you probably are excited about it as well, is the fact that you've got that from Chris Wheeler, that the representative was in Manchester to talk yesterday. And this from Paul Hurst, the same story. The fact that we've got 2 journalists independently saying that Antony's representatives have been in Manchester, to me, suggests that there is something progressing with that deal. Now, I always have known that Antony wants to come to United. There have been previous conversations as well, but that's really exciting. So hopefully that's going to develop. That's what I want to see. Ten Hag is a winner, says the Big P. Quality coach. People will be very surprised with us next season. I'm calling 3rd and you get £10 and a Maguire shirt, Mark, says the Big P. Hey, you know what? I'm not saying anything, but you've got to watch. You've got to watch. It's well worth watching anyway. It's pinned on the top of the live chat, or you can go through the homepage. It is the full Ten Hag press conference. So it literally is. You'll be watching it with Ten Hag on your screen, everything. So check it out. Ryan recorded it. He was in the press conference. But you've got to watch the first minute. Because before Ten Hag starts, there's 2 Australian, I think they're politicians, and he gives them 2 United shirts, and one of them's Harry Maguire. And it's like, you know, I thought that I don't know whether United have done that on purpose, but just read the comments. Like, that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, do check that out. It's well worth watching anyway. And Adam's question is towards the end. It deserved to be the first question. It was brilliant. Really, really good. So check it out. It's well worth watching. It's pinned at the top of the live chat or the homepage. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Take care. And please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. We're on that road to 400k. Bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. Loads more to come today. And I'll speak to you in a bit. Maxim says, I'm in France and I follow United stand since 6 or 7 years. I think Garner should be given a chance to be in the rotation. A signing Fred, Eriksson, Garner, McTominay should do for this first season, says Maxim. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Garner. He's not been assessed yet, according to Ten Hag. Thanks for watching. Check out that press conference. The link's in the chat or it's on the homepage. Ewan, thank you very much for joining the Members Club. Thanks